Okay, so if you've ever looked around and thought, oh my gosh, like why does everyone else seem to have it so much more together except me? Or if you've ever achieved anything in your life and instead of feeling proud, like you've thought, well, it's not that big of a deal, like, I'm not going to make a fuss about it. Or if you've ever worried that one day people might finally discover that you're not as capable or confident or as together as they think you are, this video is for you. Because that quiet, like insidious fear of not being good enough, it really isn't who you are. It's just simply something that you have learnt to believe over time. So we're going to question that. Okay, I'm going to help show you exactly how to finally believe that you are good enough. Now, if you've ever had that alternative feeling, as if you aren't really good enough, you're not broken for feeling this way. You're not dramatic. You're not weak. That not enough feeling usually starts quite early, like when love or approval maybe felt conditional, like when we were growing up. Maybe you learnt when you were a kid that being good, helpful, pretty, smart earned praise, and that mistakes or needs or boundaries earned disapproval. And over time, if this is what you experienced, your brain wired a simple yet painful equation. If I'm not perfect, I'm not safe. And so as an adult, that little voice still whispers, try harder, be better, don't mess up. And it is so freaking exhausting. The truth is, like, you've probably spent years and years and years trying to earn something that was always already yours, which is your worthiness. And instead of, feeling not enough, like if you ever experience that, it doesn't mean that you are lacking. It just means that your self worth in the past has probably been tied to performance, not like who you are as a human. And so you're always trying to do more or do enough or achieve enough or prove yourself enough to feel enough. But worthiness doesn't work like that. Go and look at any baby, like pick up the most beautiful, gorgeous babies in this world. They are born worthy. Worthiness is not a prize you win, it's a truth you return to. It was always true. And the moment that you stop chasing it outside yourself, okay, you start to feel it inside again. You don't become enough one day. You always were. Like you remember that you always were enough. And so, what really is going on beneath the surface, if you ever think, my gosh, like, I'm not enough in some way, okay, it's constant self criticism. Now, your brain, like I say, all the time is wired for survival, not self esteem. And so, when you were young, okay, if we go back years and years and years, belonging was one of our human desires. Okay, we wanted to be safe. And so we'd always be scanning around for cues like, am I liked? Am I approved? Am I accepted? And if your approval was sort of consistent, like, or conditional, your brain decided in some way it was your fault. Okay, when we were younger, we don't know better. And so you probably became as a kid hyper vigilant about keeping the peace, overperforming, or shrinking to stay accepted. You want to be kicked out of your, metaphorical, like if in the caveman days, you don't want to get kicked out of the tribe. And that's why now, even small things like if someone like doesn't respond to your text or criticizes you or critiques you in some way, or someone's tone is not, in the way that you love, like it can trigger an old wound that says, I'm not enough, something's somehow wrong with me, I should be perfect. Now, your system, your body isn't trying to sabotage you, it's just simply trying to keep you safe from things that we learned back when we were younger. And the work is now, because obviously we want to redo, like we want to come to a place where we do see that we're enough. That's going to require that you feel safe in the moment. Okay, safe being enough without having to prove it to anyone else. But what does this even mean? Like when I say, being enough, okay? Think about it. Enough for who? Yourself, society, your parents, your boss, that imaginary version of yourself that still thinks you should be like something different now. Okay, this like the definition, there's no one, tried and true one that rings true for you. What your parents think is enough could be different from your boss. But if you don't define it for yourself, okay, your brain is either going to pick up the expectations that were given to you from others who might not even agree with them, or it's going to be chasing an invisible finish line forever and ever and ever. And what happens is probably what you're going to discover is that if you don't define what enough means, it quietly becomes code for like perfect. Never making mistakes, never disappointing anyone, always being so productive, happy, patient, confident, and calm. And that's probably why you always feel like as if you're falling short, because the standard was never realistic, it was never human. But you today get to define it. So I want to encourage you. I want you to just decide what enough means. Maybe enough means, like for me, just showing up even when it's hard. That's enough. Maybe it's doing your best with the energy that you have today on any given day. Maybe it's loving people well or even just loving yourself. Maybe it's simply being like, active in life, like trying and growing and learning along the way, being willing to make mistakes. That could be enough. Now, for some, it could be like living with peace instead of pressure. For others, it could be showing up honestly even when you're scared. Or maybe it's just simply doing your best, like just doing the best and letting that be enough. Knowing that doing your best today could be looking different from what it looks on another day. But the truth is, enough is not a destination, it's just a decision. You just decide. This is the moment you stop performing for approval and start belonging to yourself. It's saying, like, accepting that you are enough and you're worthy means even with all my flaws, and I have plenty, even with all my fears, I have plenty, even with my messy middle, both of us have plenty, I still count and I still matter. That's what being good enough is all about. You count and you matter, and you recognize that in yourself. And so when you redefine like enough,ness as being human instead of being perfect, everything softens. The pressure sort of disappears when you can just allow yourself to be a totally normal human being with a human brain. Can you start to breathe again? That's what happens when you decide that you are enough. Flaws, fears, and all, something in you shifts. It's almost like the wall quietens down. You stop bracing for judgment because you don't give a hoot anymore what other people think. You start living instead from peace instead of having to prove yourself to others. You don't have to. You're already enough. Stop waiting for that external proof and you start apologizing. Stop apologizing for existing. Stop hustling for being chosen. And you realize you've already chosen because you've chosen yourself. So being enough doesn't mean that you think you're perfect or flawless. It means that you recognize those things in yourself, and it doesn't disqualify you from anything, from self-love. You don't stop loving yourself because you're not perfect. You start loving yourself because you are imperfect. And you got flaws, and you got quirks. We all do. And it's a decision that you can just make. It's a line in the sand where you say, I'm no longer available for this belief that I'm not enough. I am enough. That's where real confidence begins. Okay? And so just to share with you a few mindset shifts that might be helpful is your worth is not measured by productivity. Okay, your to-do list does not determine your value. You're enough even when you rest, even when you sleep, even when you're on a break, even when you're not achieving, you're always enough. Repeat after me. I'm always enough. Doesn't matter what I'm doing. The other thing is being enough is not about comparison. It's about connecting with yourself. Like stop competing and start connecting with yourself. Okay, you don't want your worth to feel like a scorecard. The other thing that you need to understand is that confidence is never, ever, ever built or come from perfection. It actually comes from self-acceptance, knowing that you don't have to fix yourself to be more confident or feel confident. You just need to embrace who you already are, flaws and all. It's the coolest thing. Another thing is you don't have to earn love through effort. Okay, the right people are always going to love you just for being you. It's just like you love the people you love because they are who they are. Okay, that's how people feel about you. They're going to love you just because you are you, flaws and all. And you're allowed to take up space without having to justify anything. You don't have to shrink your own needs or your dreams or your opinions or your joy just to stay safe. Okay, you're allowed to take up space. Everyone else is doing it. Why not do it for yourself? You deserve it. Because enoughness isn't something that you have to find. It's something you have to claim. You just stake your claim. You stop searching, for it outside of you when you realize you're never missing anything. Like the thing you've been always looking for is within you. And mistakes, which you will make, as we all do, don't erase your erase your worth in any way. It's evidence of growth. Evidence of growth. Again, it doesn't matter what anyone else thinks of you because your value does not fluctuate with other people's opinions. No compliment can add to your worth. No criticism can take away from it. It's like it exists regardless. And you're also never behind. Okay, I don't want you to ever think that your timeline is late. It's not. You are always unfolding at the pace that matches your healing and your growth and where you're at. Okay? And when you need to be further along, you will be further along. Now, growth is amazing. Okay, but your worth never needs upgrading. You're always worthy. You're always good enough. So just remember that. Remember your inherent worth. Write it down if you have to. I was born worthy. Nothing I can do ever can add or subtract from that. And every time you catch yourself like hustling for worth, just remind yourself, I don't have to earn what I already am. And then you have to reclaim it. Notice where you've outsourced your value. Maybe it's your work or relationships or how others see you. And ask yourself, who gets to decide that I'm enough? Okay, the answer, because if the answer's not you, you're always going to feel unsteady. Decide that you are the first and foremost authority on your own worth. You get to decide. And then you reinforce it. Once you've decided that you're worthy, practice showing up like someone who already believes that she's good enough. That means resting without feeling guilty. saying no without explanation, celebrating progress instead of perfection. The more you act this way, like from your self worth, the quieter that your inner critic is just going to become. So it's a cool thing. So, your little mini challenge this week is whenever you have this little voice come or I'm not good enough, pause and ask, but what would the enough version of me do? Just enough. And act from that version. Okay? You don't have to apologize. You don't have to strive. You don't have to prove anything. Okay? Maybe she would set a boundary. Maybe she would take a break. Maybe she would hit publish. But every time you honor yourself, the worthy self that you always were, you send a signal to your brain that say it's just safe. It's safe enough for me to just do what feels right for me. And if this has resonated for you, I've created a free guide to help you move from self-doubt to self-trust. There's 5 powerful thought shifts that are going to help you take action, make it feel so much lighter and more aligned. You're going to find the link below. And always remember that further support can be found inside Inspiring Life Academy that includes lifetime access to all 90 plus courses and coaching roadmaps that I've ever created in my business can be found in there. Okay, but tell me in the comments now, what would change your life if you truly, truly believe that you were already enough? Because you do not have to earn your worth through effort or perfection or proof. You were just simply born enough. It's true for all of us. And remembering this truth over and over again and reminding yourself that this fact is how you start finally living like it is true. Okay, you remind yourself. Take care, my friend. I will look forward to catching you in the next video.